Not content with your content? You've come to the right place. The DisContent Show with Joe Kuzma. Every brand starts with a story. Here's how you can grow your business by sharing it. Now, with today's topic, the host of the DisContent Show, Joe Kuzma.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the DisContent Show. My name is Joe Kuzma, and I'm here to give you tips and tricks on how you can effectively and efficiently manage your content marketing campaigns, your strategy, just about anything under the sun, anything under the umbrella of my famous, well, soon-to-be famous, 5 pillars of content marketing. That is blogging, podcasting, social media, email, and ebooks. I'm going to have some topics about all of those things, but today's topic kind of encompasses as many of those as you could string together. I want to talk about whether or not your potential customers, clients, whoever is out there that wants to purchase your product or services, can they contact you? And can they contact you easily? Do you want them to contact you? I think that's the ultimate goal. I know when you write a blog, you're thinking, this is something fancy. I wrote a blog. It's quite an accomplishment. Every time I write one, I feel like incredible. I feel like almost like a genius. I'm like, wow, you know what? I just did this. And I always talk about whether or not you need to stress over certain things. You know what I mean? Like I always say, at least be good. Strive to be good. Because then you don't stress yourself out. You don't give yourself anxiety and OCD over the smallest little things, some that you have no control over. I'm always talking about, if you throw something out there on social media and it doesn't get a huge reaction, you don't get a bunch of likes or favorites or retweets or shares or whatever, you're not to stress out about that. Now, of course, you got to keep in mind that this type of marketing, and I know some people you don't have the budget for traditional advertising in like print or like a TV or radio, the traditional media type stuff. And I totally understand that sometimes this can be a cheap, almost free. I mean, nobody's time is free, obviously, the amount of time you put into this. But this could be a low-cost way for you to branch out, to get your name out there, to get some brand recognition, et cetera, et cetera. But with all of those things said, not to stress and worry about that, what's the ultimate goal for you? The ultimate goal for you is more than likely to make money, have sales, whatever it may be the case there. If you're running something that's a nonprofit, it's still money driven, right? You're looking for at least donations in some form. So there's always a goal and you're trying to obtain that goal. And the way you obtain that goal is by having some kind of call to action, and it's got to come back to you. Somebody ultimately has to come back to you, reach out to you. That's either hitting the buy button or that's hitting a contact button. But is that stuff out there? Like, really, for any of you that are service industry related, or even if it's retail and you're selling a product, you may have to give some type of customer support. Can the people who are out there on the internet contact you and contact you easily? I see a lot of no-nos. I see a lot of pet peeves out there, so I want to talk about those today. Again, this kind of, not all of it's going to focus directly about your website, but when I talk about content marketing, a lot of times I'm already assuming that someone has an established website. Content marketing is in addition to having a website, and it should drive people back to your website. All those roads need to lead to the center capital of Rome right there. That is your website. That is your business card, your online brochure, your catalog. It's everything. Who uses the yellow pages anymore to contact anyone, right? So you got to make sure that I talked about some of the important things you had to have on a website in a previous podcast, and you could go back and listen to that in more detail. I talked about addresses and phone numbers and things of that nature, and a little bit of this may be a repeat on that, but it's very important to mention. A lot of people come to your website just to look for a phone number. If you don't have a phone number, easy to find. It's got to be in the header or the footer. That's the top or the bottom of your website and on every single page, because you cannot assume that in this day and age that people arrive at your website and just come right to the homepage. Those days are over of typing in pizza.com or AOL keywords, okay? They search for you. If you're doing a good job with your content marketing, they may find a Facebook post. They may find that, and it leads back to a website, blog article. And if you have a decently built website and you have your contact information in the header and footer, good job. They're going to be able to get a hold of you if they have further questions or they're interested in purchasing. Now, I said phone number. A lot of people don't want to pick up the phone and talk with an actual human being. Maybe you don't have the time and support for that either. It's okay. You could let it go to voicemail. You could do text messages, however you want to set that up. That is part of your personal preference and your business process. But one thing I am totally don't do. I don't like putting email addresses on websites. There's so many negatives that come from doing this. Number one, go and hyperlink your email address. Now, if you're on an iPhone and you've set up Apple Mail, you're on Android, you set up Gmail, you're on a PC and you have Outlook set up or some type of equivalent, and you tap or click on that email address, it's going to open your default programs. Like I said, Apple Mail, Gmail, Outlook, whatever it may be the case. That is not the case for a lot of people. And you got to think that some folks are using public computers where that's not going to be set up at all. And all it's going to do is it's going to open like a blank window or give like on Windows, usually like a little box that comes up, the OK cancel buttons with like some error. And if you're not technically inclined, you're losing the ability to have somebody contact you. Another thing that's really bad about the email addresses is that you've got these bots and spiders and stuff that will go across and scour web pages, and this is how you start to get junk email for stuff. Like I get stuff for like buying industrial Chinese steel or something. It's like, why? I've never been interested in this in my entire life. And of course you get some of the other garbage like, the drugs that'll do wonders for whatever diet or in the bedroom and things of that nature. If you want less of that, obviously having a good email provider is part of that program too. But don't be the person who just lazily links an email address out there. What you really need is a contact page and a contact form, like a web form where people put their name. Email and phone number is always good. You could ask them if they have a preference, yes, no, and a message box. And that's really all you need, because if you start to do this thing that looks like you just went into, like the urgent care clinic or the doctor's office, and it's like 3 or 4 pages of triplicate, you don't want a form like that. If you really have to qualify somebody that much up front, you're going to scare them away. I mean, unless you really are in an industry where, it's like, hey, you know what? We're doing really good already, Joe. We just need to make sure that these people are serious. Then go for it. Shoot for the moon. After all, this is your baby. But I'm just trying to give you some tips and some hints and some tricks to make it easy for people to contact you. And easy means a name, a way to get back in touch with them, and what is it that they are contacting you for. This also hides or obscures your email address, so you aren't getting all of this random junk. Hi, sir or madam. I am trapped somewhere in, the Western Hemisphere, and I have millions of dollars, but you know what? I need to put them in your bank account. You know those emails? Or you just won, the Zimbabwe lottery or something. You could get away from all that junk. Plus, like I said, you end up clicking on an email. You do not know how many times I've had it requested. We want this. I tell you, don't do it. They still do it. And then they come back within a month or two being the client that have built a website or managed websites for. And now we get all this junk mail. Or, hey, I click on this and it doesn't work. It doesn't open anything. Well, yeah, you got to expect people to be able to copy and paste that email address. And that's the reason, Craigslist is a lot like that too. If you take a look at it, why they have so many options to contact people, that's what you really got to be thinking about with your business. with your whole strategy with the website, with content marketing, you got to make sure that people can contact you. You also got to make sure that you're staying engaged in contact with them too, because when you're posting on Facebook and they're commenting, or you're tweeting and they're replying to it, and you've got all of these comments lining up, sometimes you have to engage with some of that. I don't engage with the negative. Sometimes you're even going to block, delete, hide where necessary, because you get people with foul language that they just don't care. They're on the internet. They're even like that in public. Go to Walmart sometimes, you know what I mean? We all know what we're talking about here. Stay away from the negative things. You don't want to get in an argument on a public Facebook. But when you have people that are asking some honest questions, it doesn't hurt to have that kind of information out there. It's only going to help grow your page. May even catch you some reviews because, you were kind and got back. And I think most people are reasonable to see. There's even a badge. We're going to talk about this in a second, but I'm going to bring it up now. On your Facebook page, people could contact you they've linked Facebook Messenger into all this stuff now, and people could send you like direct messages. And if you don't answer them for like years, there's like a badge on there. It says never replies. I don't know that it actually says never replies. I'm kind of kidding, but I know you've seen the one that says like it's fast, replies within minutes, replies within the hour, replies within a day or so. Well, that should be about your goal. I mean, do it realistically for yourself. You don't have to be instant. If you do instant, people are going to expect instant. So if you don't have the ability to always be instant, and remember, the internet's a 24/7, 365-day open for business sort of affair here. So do what's comfortable for you. As always, that's what I try and say. You got to make a plan that's good and fits within your time and your abilities. I don't know if some of you out there that are listening to this have help. If you have people that can help you with that sort of thing, it's probably more realistic to have like a 30-minute response time or something that's ludicrous. I think, like, if you're a larger company, obviously, you start to think about like Coca-Cola or Best Buy or something like that, then sure, they should have like almost instant response. They have a whole team of people that are employed only to interact with and respond to stuff on social media. So, but that's one thing to think about is with Facebook, because I'll tell you, I've had clients that we build Facebook pages for them, and then guess what? They never do anything with them. I'm going to talk about updating those and keeping social media looking fresh in a future episode here. But it's part of the reason why I'm always talking about, like, if you blog or do something, you got to post on social media once or twice a week so it doesn't look like one of these Wild West ghost towns where, the gold rush came through and it's gone and now it's a dead city or it's a dead town. So you don't want to look like the dead town there. That's the same thing with people messaging, because it's like, you know what, is your business doing so well that you could ignore these messages when people ask you questions? And then you know what, they're probably asking more than, let's just say they're looking to cater a party or something, and you have a catering business. They're probably looking around at multiple catering places. So why do you want to take yourself out of the conversation of getting more business, unless you literally have more than what you can handle? And I think there's auto response things and stuff of that nature that you could also put up, but that's not always the case with all of these things. So you got to be cognizant that people are going to send things through the internet and not just pick up a phone in order to, I don't know, order a cake or something. You could always do the text message route too. And it's somewhat direct, but I know not everybody has time to cover all of these different things. I know personally some people, I know on my website alone, I don't have a phone number on there. I'm not, unless you're a direct client of mine, phone privilege does not exist there, because, time is money and got to be able to get things done. So anybody who tries to contact myself personally, they could catch me on Facebook. They can catch me through Twitter. Twitter works basically the same way. They have direct messages. I call them DMs for short. DM, direct message. And I could be bad with Twitter, because if you shut off notifications, then you forget that, in my case, I might be managing 20 or 30 Twitter accounts at a time. And my phone will die from all the different notifications that I could get. Now, it all depends on what I'm managing. Different customers will take care of certain questions. Some will want you to take care of everything. Some will want me to do absolutely nothing. But these are the type of services that myself and others you know what? They're here to lend a hand, to try and help so you can build your business. But contact is just so important. And I know that everybody knows that. Sales leads is really what you're looking for with everything. So why wouldn't you leverage all of these things that you have at your disposal? If you're already into social media marketing and you have a Facebook and you have a Twitter and you have all of these things set up, then you have to take a little bit of extra time to plan to respond to comments and any type of direct messages. I was starting to talk about text messages. I mean, if that works for you too, great. I know that not every, let's say, phone number that's out there, a lot of people have traditional landlines, but if you don't and you have something that's like a voice over IP, I can't say if Vonage does this for sure or not because it's been a while since I've used them, but even Magic Jack, the cheap little thing you plug in, allows text messages now. So does Google Voice. Google Voice is like completely free in some cases. So you could use that in order to receive text messages just like you would with a regular cellular phone. Of course, if you have a cell phone and you're using that as a business phone and that's something that's public information as far as that's the number you have published out there, why not? It's one more thing. Could be a little difficult to always manage and respond back, but hey, you know what? Can't be too difficult if you want to make those greenbacks, right? All spends the same. The last one I want to talk about, and it's a popular one, and it's also an annoying one that I see a lot of websites come up with, and that's online chat. I always get a lot of questions about online chat. You see the little windows pop up in the bottom corner of the screen. They pop up entirely over the screen if you're on a smartphone and you're browsing the web. And it always has like some picture. It's a stock photo of somebody that doesn't realistically work in those places. Sometimes, like, I hate that. I think it's tacky. It's somebody usually with like a headset or something. And it's like, well, they're not really talking to you through the headset. You know what I mean? They're typing sitting there. So if you want to do something like that for your own business, you got to think about, again, 24/7, 365. Who is managing that? Now, when that thing goes off hours and things of that nature, it works usually just like the contact form that I brought up at the very top of this show. So that's not a bad thing, but it could be disappointing for some people who are expecting like an instant response. And trust me, when that thing pops up, they're expecting instant gratification. If you can't give it to them, they may move on. It depends on how patient people are with certain things. It also depends on how many people are going to contact you at once, because all of a sudden you could have a queue. You could have a flood of like 5 or 10 people on all at once, and you're the only person that's managing it, or you only have one other person in your office or business that's managing it. That could be a disaster trying to manage all those things at once. So that's where I mentioned, like, you know, these big companies, like I guarantee you Best Buy. I mean, I know Best Buy for sure. They have a whole team of people that do nothing, but they have chat. And some of this is outsourced, of course. There's other businesses that they hire and third parties that manage all of it. Just, you know, I'm a third party in a lot of cases managing different social media, blogs, podcasts, all of these things for different clients and customers. So, of course, I could speak from my own experience, but I am me. And then there's, you know, Best Buy who, you know, they might be outsourcing it even overseas. I don't know. You got to be careful with that as well, because you know what? If you're the mom and pop shop that's just down the street and somebody contacts someone and they say that they're Bob, but they're obviously Bob from maybe, I don't know, India, for example. Nothing against anyone from India, but if it's, I think you know where I'm getting at here. If it's not plain English and you are plain English business, you're not like this multinational, you know, global corporation like a Best Buy. They could get away with something like that. So you have to be careful about your own brand's reputation, your business's reputation, how people perceive you, because you just never know how well they know your own business and how they're answering questions, which is where I was getting at earlier when it comes to answering, you know, direct messages, Facebook Messenger messages for different clients and things like that. If you hire a high school kid and they give like some smart ass answer to somebody, that could really be bad for your business. So take all of these things into consideration, because if they could contact you and they could contact you easily, are you just letting that die at that endpoint? Or are you engaging? Are you replying? And are you cultivating what could be a relationship with that potential customer, client, etc., in order to help build your business and brand, because that's what the DisContent Show is all about. I hope this was some helpful information for some of you folks that are out there. I'm going to start digging into different things here in the upcoming weeks. I got a lot more. I could always talk about blogs and social media, but I know that some of you have inquired more information about podcasting and writing the Great American Ebook, and I'm going to get on those very soon because there's not as much information out there. It's a little cloudy, it's a little murky, and there's a lot of bad advice. But if anything, take this to heart today. You think you might have a better idea of what you want to do. Just to recap, if you want people to be able to contact you, you got to have a phone number. I mean, like I said, the whole Yellow Pages thing, but Google Maps, Google Search, all of that is going to suck that into your listing along with your website. Make sure it's easy to find. Not everyone's going to call you. They're going to want to contact you. You put your email address out there, you're going to get junk mail. It might not work for everyone. Use a contact form. Hey, if text messaging works for you, great. If online chat works for you, great. If talking to people through social media works for you, that's also great. Another thing you might want to do just to encompass, if you don't want to stretch yourself thin by having to always check Facebook. I mean, it's like you could do it once a day, Twitter once a day or something like that. You could have a generic message, just keep it in like a notepad file or a Word file or just somewhere saved that you could copy and paste. Make sure it's proofread, of course, so there's not any typos or errors in it. I gave you some tools for doing that in one of the blog episodes. It's also up on the website in the resources section at joekuzma.com. Just paste it back in there. It could be just like a generic message and just say, hey, for more information on that, fill out our form at joekuzma.com/contact or contact us or whatever might be the link there. And then, you know what? You didn't ignore that message, and you're not going to drone on and have to respond to this person 30 times, and it may take you a few hours between each response, which is just going to kind of upset them anyway. But in this way, they may take your lead there. Again, it's the breadcrumbs that lead them back to you and ultimately, hopefully, leads to expanding your business and making everyone money if that is your goal or whatever your purpose may be out there. Until next time, my name is Joe Kuzma, and I encourage all of our listeners to be safe, be good, and of course, I will catch you later on the next episode of the DisContent Show. Hi folks, this is Joe Kuzma. No, don't worry, you're not hearing things twice. I'm just here to say, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for listening to today's show and being a follower and subscriber of the DisContent podcast. And I want to remind you that if you're interested in more information about all the various things it is that I do, whether it be about this show, content marketing, or you want to ask a question, you may visit me at joekuzma.com. That's JOEKUZMA.com. Or you can follow me as well on Facebook. Make sure you get the page and not the personal profile. Sorry, it's only for friends and family. Also on Twitter at Joe_Kuzma, LinkedIn or Instagram. Also, don't forget, if you haven't already, subscribe, whether that be on iTunes, YouTube, or your favorite podcast provider, so you don't miss out on any of the great episodes that we have. Once again, thank you again for your support, and I look forward, as always, to speaking and interacting with each of you again soon.